So, when we look into this short story by Mahasweta Devi, that is Draupadi, we see the section of the society, we see the sections of the society. The society is being fragmented, and the top class, the uppermost section of the society, that is the capitalist section, you might say, or the wealthy section, or you can say the powerful landlords who are actually controlling the things. They are in touch with the political system who actually run the country. Okay, they have the control over the police, they have the control over the army, which is the repressive state apparatus, and they are using this repressive state apparatus to destroy this class struggle, this uprising of the weaker sections of the society, this section which has been to the bottom, which has tried to create its own existence. What we find that when this existence is being exerted, when this existence is being nullified or tried to be nullified, this uprising happens. This nullifying of their existence happens in two phases. এই যে তাদের যে এক্সিস্টেন্সটাকে একদম ধূলিসাৎ করে দেওয়ার চেষ্টা দুটো পর্যায়ে হচ্ছে, বা দুটো টাইপে হচ্ছে, দুটো ফেজে হচ্ছে. নাম্বার ওয়ান, by the oppression of the landlords or the money lenders or the powerful sections, monetary powerful sections of the society, okay, of that area, and that is leaving them with no other option, that is leaving the santals of that area with no other option but to fight for their own rights, fight for their own existence, else they would die, else they would die out of poverty, right? What we find here is that this is one kind of repression, and this is leading to a kind of revolt, not a kind of revolt, a revolt, a class struggle, which they are trying to exert in this whole system, which is actually leaving an impact so much, the impact is so much that the powerful sections of the society, that is the political section which actually controls the whole country, the nation, the society, or every section of the society, is bringing its aids, what can you say, the armed forces, that is the repressive state apparatus. They might have tried the ideological state apparatus, which is by coercion, through ideology and everything, to control all the things. But what we find, these setting, the very first lines of this story shows us how this armed rebellion by the Santals in Naxalbari and the province, what we find that this rebellion has been put into hold or challenged by the repressive state apparatus. Okay, and this fighting between the landlords and the peasants, this fighting between the workers and the landlords has taken the shape of a fight between the political party or the government and the Santals. Why? Because these powerful sections of the society, that is the moneyed sections of the society, are actually the, what can you say, the taxpayers, right? They are actually governing or helping the political parties or the government during several instances or several times, right? Whereas these weaker sections of the society is of no importance to the political system. অ্যাকচুয়ালি ইট ইজ ট্রু, তাদের কাছে শুধু ভোট চাওয়াটাই হচ্ছে বেশি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। ইভেন তাদের অনেকের তো ভোটার আইডি কার্ডও নেই, আছে কিনা সন্দেহ, রাইট? What we find here is that these moneyed section are important for the political class because they are the taxpayers, because they fund their rallies, they fund their existence in political sphere. So for a government, for a society, the controllers of the society, it appears that these people, these Santal people, these what can you say, these rebels are actually problematic for the society. They should be eliminated. They are not taking into account their problems. The government is not taking into account their problems. Their problems should be focused. Their problems should have been mitigated, right? If that would have been done, then all the problems, all this rebellion would have ended. Clear? But what we find here is that the government, which apparently in this story has no role, but it is like the god which is acting behind the scenes. Okay, it is like the puppeteer who is moving all the puppets, who is putting on the army, who is putting on the police. ওকে, তাহলে পুলিশকে কে পাঠাবে গভর্নমেন্ট ছাড়া? এটা বুঝতে হবে, রাইট? সো from the very first instance we can get this tussle, this binary of police versus rebel is being put out, where there is no narrative of the people who are oppressed. এখানটা কোনো ন্যারেটিভই বলা হচ্ছে না যেখানটায় কি এই মহিলারা বা এই সান্তালসরা হচ্ছে অপ্রেসড ভার্সেস অপ্রেসর. This narrative is never projected, which is the main thing, which is the cause of the rebellion. Unfortunately, this has not been said, though this has not been said by the political party. Through Draupadi, through her short stories, Mahasweta Devi has always tried to put on this binary of the oppressor versus oppressed, which has been turned into a kind of rebellion, where they are shown as people who are against the state, right? তাদেরকে হচ্ছে কি আখ্যা দেওয়া হচ্ছে, তাদেরকে কি রূপ দিয়ে দেওয়া হচ্ছে? তাদেরকে রূপ দেওয়া হচ্ছে যে তারা হচ্ছে স্টেটের জন্য ক্ষতিকারক। ওকে, তাদেরকে অ্যান্টি ন্যাশনাল বলে দেওয়া হয়, এখন খুব এটা চল হয়েছে, রাইট? দে আর প্রবলেমেটিক ফর দ্য স্টেট অ্যান্ড দে শুড বি এলিমিনেটেড, রাইট? অ্যান্ড দ্যাট ইজ হোয়াট ইজ প্রেজেন্টেড ইন দ্য ফার্স্ট সেকশন. The first lines only gives a normal setting where a woman, any kind of women belonging to any class in Indian society would have to give, or they have to give their identity, either of their identity with the care of either the father or the husband. That has been the tradition. In this case also, that is being projected also, where the name is being said as Draupadi Maiden, her age. So what we find here is that the identity is being presented as Draupadi Maiden, 27 years old. Her husband's name is being said Dulna Maji, who is deceased. But the rest of the information, where the mention is there, she is wanted in the list of the repressive state apparatus, the police, the army. Okay, this changes everything. This changes everything. The first line shows that she is dependent, or she is being taken care of by the husband, though care of is not mentioned, but her identity is being placed with respect to her husband, রাইট। তার আইডেন্টিটি বলতে গিয়ে তার এজ বলা হয়েছে, তার নাম বলা হয়েছে, তার এজ বলা হয়েছে, আর তার সাথে সাথে তার হাজব্যান্ডের নামও বলা হয়েছে, ঠিক আছে, তার অ্যাড্রেস বলা হয়েছে। এটা যে কারোর জন্য ব্যবহার করা হয়, রাইট। এনিওয়ান, if you try to identify anyone, all these things, your name, your father's name or your husband's name, and your address, your age will be mentioned, that is given. But the very next thing which is being projected here, information whether dead or alive and or assistance in arrest, 100 rupees. So এই যে ইনফরমেশনটা, যে তাকে কি চাই, তাকে ডেড অর অ্যালাইভ বা কোনো অ্যাসিস্ট্যান্স চাই তার অ্যারেস্টে, যদি করা যায় তাহলে তাকে একটা যে করে দেবে তাকে 100 রুপিস দেওয়া হবে অ্যাজ আ ওয়ার্ড, রাইট। তাহলে কি, দিস ইজ অ্যাকচুয়ালি লিডিং Draupadi or Draupadi from the stature of being dependent on her husband to an independent stature. Okay, her existence, her importance is being exerted. বুঝতে পারলি কেন? কারণ হচ্ছে একজন মহিলা এতটাই হচ্ছে ইম্পর্টেন্ট হয়ে দাঁড়িয়েছে এই রিপ্রেসিভ স্টেট অ্যাপারেটাসের জন্যে, যে তার জন্য 100 টাকা ধার্য করতে হয়েছে। তাহলে কোনো মতেই বলা যায় না সে উইকার সেকশনস অফ দ্য সোসাইটি বা হচ্ছে ডিপেন্ডেন্ট ওম্যান, রাইট। ইউ ক্যান নট সে দ্যাট শি ইজ আ ডিপেন্ডেন্ট ওম্যান। She has done something of her own, or through a class of people. That's why she is emancipated in her own way. She is independent in her own way. She has done things in her own way, so that she can be an independent self who is being surged by the government or the agents of the government. তাহলে দেখলি একটা ক্যারেক্টারের একদিকে হচ্ছে সোসাইটির সোশ্যাল পিকচারটা হচ্ছে প্রজেক্ট করছে, যেখানটায় একজন মহিলাকে জেনারেলি ডিপেন্ডেন্ট দেখানো হয়, কিন্তু অ্যাট দ্য সেম টাইম এইখানটায় দ্রৌপদী যে উইকার সেকশনস অফ দ্য সোসাইটির, সে কিন্তু ডিপেন্ডেন্ট না, সে তার স্ফিয়ারে, তার কাজে সে হচ্ছে ইম্যানসিপেটেড। ক্লিয়ার? আন্ডারস্টুড? An exchange between two liveried uniforms. So first livery, so these people are the police people or army people. They are talking among themselves. What is this? A tribal called Draupadi. The list of names I brought has nothing like it. How can anyone have an unlisted name? So see, this person, the first livery person is saying, so this is a pamphlet, right? This is a pamphlet or a poster where the want or the asking, they are asking for the information of Draupadi. Okay, so দ্রৌপদীর একটা ইনফরমেশন চাইছে, সেইটা তারা পড়ছে, ঠিক আছে। ওই যে ইনফরমেশন ওয়েদার ডেড অর অ্যালাইভ, এটা একটা পোস্টার থেকে পড়ছে, রাইট। সে এই যে ফার্স্ট লিভারি, সে বলছে যে কি, একটা ট্রাইবাল ওম্যান দ্রৌপদী। সো হি ইজ সারপ্রাইজড অ্যান্ড অ্যাজ ওয়েল অ্যাজ কোয়েশ্চেনিং দ্য হোল সিস্টেম। কেন? বিকজ the list of names I brought has nothing like it. He has brought a list of the suspects. He has brought a list of the wanted people by the police and the army. But Draupadi's name was never mentioned. Okay. Then how can anyone have an unlisted name? So, how can this person be out of the list and is still wanted? So, see the escalation. Okay, see the escalation of importance of Dobdi Mejen. যে সে এই লিস্টে নেই, কিন্তু অ্যাট দ্য সেম টাইম সে ওয়ান্টেড, তাকে আলাদা করে খোঁজা হচ্ছে. So those people whose names are in the list are wanted, obviously wanted. They are the list of tribals who are rebellious. But this woman is above them. তাদের কি, তাদের থেকে, এই সাধারণ মানুষগুলোর থেকে, সাধারণ না, এই যে রেবেলস যাদের লিস্ট আছে তার থেকে বেশি ইম্পর্টেন্ট হচ্ছে এই দব্দি. So see the escalation of importance. Okay, and what we find here is that with every word, with every sentence, Mahasweta Devi is emancipating a tribal woman whose name is who is named after Draupadi, the chief women character of Mahabharata. As she was also emancipated, but her emancipation grew out of her own existence as a princess, then as a queen. Okay, but for this woman, Dobdi Mejen, who belongs to the lowest strata of the society, who belongs to the lowest rungs, who is a tribal, who might be considered an untouchable, right? But her importance is that the importance of a life or death is such that 100 rupees, in those times it was huge amount, not very much huge, but more or less huge. It was a huge amount, has been assigned in her name, assigned for a would be given to a person who would be able in assistance of arrests or whatever. So what we find here is that there is this escalation, okay, of importance, and this escalation is because of the importance and because of the emancipated existence that Dobdi Mejen is living or leading. Clear? সে নিজেকে ইম্যানসিপেটেড করতে পেরেছে বলেই তার এই ইম্পর্টেন্সটা বেড়েছে, রাইট? সে যদি কারোর বাড়িতে বাসন মাজতো, ঠিক আছে, কারোর বাড়িতে হচ্ছে ধান, কারোর ফার্মে হচ্ছে ধান ইয়ে করতো, বুনতো, এই পুততো, চাষ করতো, তাহলে কি তার কোনো ইম্পর্টেন্স হতো? তাকে কি এতটা ইম্পর্টেন্স দেওয়া হতো? অবভিয়াসলি নো, রাইট? So the second lever is saying Draupadi Mejen, born the year her mother threshed rice at Surja Sahu, killed at Bakuli. So we are now talking about Operation Bakuli of 1971. I have told you in the previous class only about this Naxalbari and this operation of everything, Operation Bakuli, that would happen in 1971, where all the people who were revolting, all the peasants, there was an open fire by the police, the army, in order to kill. So let's not go into that now. So what we find here is that Draupadi was named Draupadi Mejen by Surja Sahu's wife. Okay, Surja Sahu's wife, her mother was working, who threshed the rice there, and Surja Sahu's wife gave her the name. First, is saying, first livery, these officers like nothing better than to write as much as they can in English. What's all this stuff about her? So they are actually holding a dossier, that is a file. Dossier মানে হচ্ছে একটা ফাইল, ওকে, যে ফাইলে হচ্ছে কোনো পার্সোনাল ইনফরমেশন হচ্ছে থাকে, স্পেশালি পুলিশের কাছে, ঠিক আছে, ওই বলে না ফাইল খুলে দেখো তো কার ব্যাপারে কি আছে। সিমিলারলি হচ্ছে এখানটা বলছে যে এখানটা ইংলিশে এত কি লেখে এর ব্যাপারে। সেখানটায় সেকেন্ড, the second livery, second person is reading out most notorious female long wanted in many dot dot dot. So what we find here is that this um, file actually gives a description of the things that Dobdi along with her husband has done. Okay, so the dossier says Dulna and Dobdi walked at harvest, rotating between Birbhum, Bardhaman, Murshidabad, and Bakura. Okay, so in 1971, in the famous Operation Bakuli, uh, as I was telling, where three villages were cordoned off and machine gunned, they too lay on the ground, faking dead. In fact, they were the main culprits, murdering Surja Sahu and his son, occupying upper caste wells and tubers during the drought, not surrendering those three young men to the police. So, what we find here is that they had been the part of this harvest. They used to harvest, but actually they were the informers. Okay, so when Operation Bakuli happened in 1971, where the rebels were killed, but what we find that before that, these people, these tribal rebels, were killing wealthy landlords, the upper caste landlords, because of their wells and tubewells, because these tribals were considered achut or untouchable. Okay, and because of that they were not able to live in a proper way. So these tubewells and wells were a sign of rebellion or the agent of rebellion. তোমার তো একটা কোনো উৎস লাগে, ওদের সোর্স লাগে, তাই তো, রেভলিউশন করতে গেলে, রাইট? সেই রেবেলিয়নটার উৎসই হচ্ছে এই ওয়েলস আর টিউবওয়েলস। ক্লিয়ার? আর তারাই হচ্ছে সূর্য সাহু, যে হচ্ছে যার ওয়াইফ হচ্ছে অ্যাকচুয়ালি দ্রৌপদীর নামটা দিয়েছিল, ঠিক আছে, তাকে হচ্ছে মেরে ফেলেছে, অ্যান্ড তার ছেলেকেও হচ্ছে মেরে ফেলেছিল, আর তাদের বডিগুলোকে দিচ্ছিল না। And when the Operation Bakuli happened, Dulna and Dobdi faked dead. তারা হচ্ছে মাটিতে শুয়ে পড়েছিল আর তারা অ্যাক্টিং করছিল যেন তারা হচ্ছে মারা গেছে। In all this they were chief instigators. Okay, in the morning at that time of body count the couple could not be found. Okay, so they were faking the death, and at night they escaped from that location. When the body count was done, these two person, Dobdi and Dulna escaped from that place. Clear? So blood sugar level of Captain Arjan Singh, who was the chief architect or the commander-in-chief of Bakuli, rose at once. So what we find here is that Mahasweta Devi or Gayatri Chakraborty Spivak, who has translated this, this was actually written in Bengali. Okay, this is a translated piece that we are reading. What we find here is that there is a kind of humor that is being imposed in this section, where the blood sugar level of Captain Arjan Singh is being mentioned, where the diabetes is proved to be a result of anxiety and depression, because Captain Arjan Singh was in command, right? And what we find, as he could not get Dobdi and Dulna, it rose to a new height. Clear? Dulna and Dobdi went underground for a long time in Netherthal darkness, the special forces attempting to pierce the dark by any armed search compelled quite a few Santals in various districts of West Bengal to meet with Maker against their will. So, search party or the special force search party was after them. They tried to find them, and what I see that several Santal districts were raided in West Bengal, and they were sent to their maker, that is, they were sent to God. They were killed. Santals were killed against their will. Okay, so several thousand people were killed. Not several thousand, several people were killed. Several Santals were killed, better to say. By the Indian constitution, all human beings, regardless of caste or creed, are sacred. Still, accidents like this do happen. So, Mahasweta Devi is taking a dig at the constitution of the country, and by doing so, he is not taking a dig at the constitution, rather, he is taking a dig at the keepers of the constitution. Okay, that is the government who are actually following the constitution, so-called following or apparently following the constitution. So according to the Indian constitution, everyone in this country is sacred, everyone is pure. But what we find here is that this kind of accidents do happen when the weakest sections of the society do not have their right to life. They do not have the right to revolt. They do not have the right to say their own problems. ঠিক আছে? তারা তাদের নিজেদের এক্সিস্টেন্স অ্যাসার্ট করতে গেলে তাদেরকে মেরে ফেলা হয়. And even today you can see lynching throughout India. Right? So what we find here is that these things have been a part of the systems where the weakest sections of the society have been silenced by the powerful sections. Clear? And Mahasweta Devi is saying that behind this there are two reasons. The underground couples kill in concealment, that the two reasons they could not be found is that the underground couple, that is Tulna and Dobdi, has a very adept skill of concealment. They can hide very well. And not merely the Santals but all tribals of Austro-Asiatic Munda tribes appear the same to the special forces. And the killing of so many people, so many Santals who were not even rebels, were actually happening because all people, all the Santals appeared same to these special forces. Okay, special forces, that is the army or the CRPF or whatever that has been employed or deployed rather. Okay, so what we find here is that there is this kind of marginalization taking from the very first instance. Okay, প্রথম থেকেই marginalization করছে, এই গ্রুপিজম করে দিচ্ছে, ওদের সবাইকে একই রকম দেখতে. ঠিক আছে, মানে তাদের আইডেন্টিটিটাই হচ্ছে নিয়ে নিচ্ছে. When one is saying that these Santals are actually looking the same, their identity, their individual identity is being blurred, right? So the individual identity টা blurred হয়ে যাচ্ছে, and what we find, they actually get the liberty, these special forces actually get the liberty to kill anyone and say that by mistake it has happened, or even they do not accept that it is a mistake. Okay, lost in the battlefield or casualty, এরকম করে দিয়েই দিতে পারে যা খুশি. Even at times they are not reported because they do not exist in government records. তাদের গভর্নমেন্ট রেকর্ডসের নামই তো নেই. তারা রেশন পায় না, তাদের অনেক সময় ভোটার আইডি কার্ডও ছিল না. তাদের আধার কার্ড তখন হয়নি, তারা তো গভর্নমেন্টের খাতায় এক্সিস্টই করে না, they do not exist in the government record, so how can they be dead? ঠিক আছে, সেইটাই হচ্ছে এখানটায় হচ্ছে। সো মার্জিনালাইজড পিপল আর অলওয়েজ দ্য টার্গেট অফ অপারেশন, সেটা যে কোনো মার্জিনালাইজড, সে তুই তোর বাড়িতেও মার্জিনালাইজড। একটা বাচ্চা যে বাড়িতে রয়েছে সেখানটায় অপারেসিভ ফাদার বা অপারেসিভ মাদার থাকলে কি বাচ্চার কথা শোনাই হবে না, তুই বড় বুঝে গেছিস তাই না? This is also a kind of marginalization. Whatever, this marginalization takes the maximum stage when it comes into a social point of view. From the social point of view, what we find that these people are actually being targeted by the powerful sections of the society. They can be the capitalists, they can be the money lenders or whatever, and their association with the political parties or the government, better to say, actually brings distress to these marginalized sections. Okay, we will continue in the next class.